Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us again. This is Elliott Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamline Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. This is the Comic Culture Warrior video channel, and as always, you're here to listen in on our conversation about comics. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some big happenings going on in the DC and Marvel universe. DC's Final Crisis kicked off to much fanfare, but was it worth the hype?
We'll have to find out. I can't give it away now.
And we're going to revisit a couple other issues. What's been going on in the Marvel Universe since Secret Invasion. And we both have kind of a big rant about that. And then finally, the big movie hit of the summer, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull came out.
It wasn't Sex and the City?
What, Sex and the City? Did you see Sex and the City? Oh. I saw it. I went dressed up, too, as Carrie Bradshaw. The pumps, I tell you, looked great in them. They're great on my calves.
So did you match the dress with a big horse head?
The horse head, yep. And there was a feather. Awesome. But anyway, we'll talk more about that after the open. Alright folks, we're back, and thank you so much for joining us. What we're going to do is we're going to start off talking about the big event that just started last week. That would be DC's Final Crisis, and both Jose and I have read it, and we each have our opinions on it. I'll start with you, Jose. What'd you think after all the lead up to it?
It was more lead up. More leading up to issue number 2. I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that just contradicts everything that's been going on for the last couple of years. I don't know, man. I really wanted to like it, but it's just saying, I mean, obviously Grant Morrison is laying the groundwork, but it's like, what the fuck have they been doing for
the past 2 years? Right. Mean, you're right. I mean, in and of itself, it's not a bad story.
Right.
The artwork is awesome.
It is. J.G. Jones.
J.G. Jones is really doing a really incredible job here. But for 2 years, we've had Countdown, we've had 52, and even Death of the New Gods. And this book, in the first issue alone, it seems like it goes out of its way to either contradict or disregard everything that's been going on in those two miniseries. And it seems, if you were someone who read 52 and you read Countdown, all the Countdown specials, thinking, wow, I'm going to be ready for Final Crisis.
I'm kind of glad I didn't buy the Countdown specials because they were kind of worthless.
Because to me, this story doesn't even really hit the ground running. It starts again with even more setup, as you said, and what was even DC Universe Zero all about, if not just to help set up this story?
DC Universe Zero, I know, right? But DC Universe Zero was actually 32 pages of ads for all the books coming out this summer for them, which, I mean, that's what it was. If it was 50 cents, it'd be one thing if it was $3.99 and I paid for it, but it was 50 cents.
But I mean, apparently what it was is they saw that what was going on in Countdown wasn't quite jiving with what was going to happen in Final Crisis. DC Universe Zero was supposed to help fit those two parts together, and I don't think it accomplished it.
Well, not yet, obviously. I mean, it might, in the grand arc of it all, I mean, it'll all come together. But one of the main problems is these first few pages with the cavemen. Mm-hmm. There's no dialogue, obviously.
Cavemen don't talk. They just
grunt.
Exactly.
But for people who don't know who Anthro, the first boy, is, like, you didn't know who it was at first either. And you read, I read a lot of comics for like how long? It's like there should be some kind of expository dialogue going on about like who he actually is, but there isn't. And so if you're new to DC or new to comics in general, you have no idea what the hell this is all about at the beginning. Okay.
If you've never read comics before, I mean, lately that seems to be the thing that goes on in comics, where you portray cavemen with powers or whatever, and it foreshadows the endless battle between good and evil.
But it's not
and blah blah
with
blah.
powers. It's
Just the first.
It's them. It's Metatron like giving man fire.
Okay.
So it's not superheroes.
Okay.
Though Vandal Savage is in here.
Shows up, right.
But no, so there's that.
I'm just amazed at how attractive the cave women are back then.
Yeah.
You know, the red-headed cave woman that gets dragged out by her hair from... I mean, that's some good-looking cave woman there. You know? And yet the cave men are like, you know, look like Cro-Magnon man.
No, yeah, that's true. Anthro doesn't, though. But then you have Orion dying again.
Again.
He died in Countdown #1, but this is now he's really dying. And you bring in, what's his name?
Turpin. Yeah, which I asked you, I go, is that Turpin? Because he's really the only, outside of Bullock and Montoya in Gotham City, he's the only other detective of note in the DCU.
Yep.
And he doesn't look like Turpin I've ever seen before. I didn't recognize him, and at no point do they even say, this is Detective Turpin, you know, so... At least I don't remember that.
Yeah, they do.
Well, not in the beginning, at least.
Not at the beginning, but
right.
But they do in here.
Okay.
Anyway, so Orion dies again, and then the Guardians finally get involved in quarantine Earth, and like, right, we got a god that's dead now. Like, we need to find out what's going on. But
haven't the gods been dying already?
Exactly.
Like,
they've been dying all summer or all spring and winter too. Like in all the books, and like now all of a sudden they're like catching on. It's like, all right. So that's another thing that there's a problem with. And then you have, spoiler, Martian Manhunter dying. You know,
I think it's out by now. People know.
Yeah, which you know didn't bother me at all because you know hopefully, I mean they're gonna have a whole special like for that whole dying thing, like you know.
Death of the Martian Manhunter?
Yeah, I forgot what it's called, though. It's not called that, but it's like, you know, it's them remembering Martian. It's like DC's way of paying homage to Martian Manhunter.
John Jones, we hardly knew ye.
Yeah. Well,
for a character that couldn't even merit his own title?
Yeah, but this new version of Martian Manhunter was kind of crappy anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really didn't care for it too much. And then you have Darkseid now with the Darkseid Club.
Darkseid Club and the Village of the Damned
with the zombie kids.
Life. Yeah. They look like the kids from Village of the Damned.
Yep. Which this part was this whole Darkseid thing with the club thing was actually in Seven Soldiers, Mr. Miracle.
Oh, okay, Seven Soldiers
which is pretty obscure because that Seven Soldiers thing was a few years ago, and Mr. Miracle was probably the worst out of all of those minis.
But Grant Morrison said he did drop some things in his Seven Soldiers mini that would lead into Final Crisis. Mm-hmm. So,
and then there's the few panels of the JLA discussing the new gods, and J.G. Jones recycling the Superman head from the Wizard magazine that he did a few months ago. Final Crisis, that's exactly what that is.
Oh wow!
Because I don't know if because he used John Cena photo as his reference.
That's right. Yeah,
and this is the same exact head that was on the thing.
A famous Rich Johnson swipe file.
Yes. And then Superman's talking about like the new gods, and then Batman is like, "Well, I prepared dossiers on all these," but it's like it's the fucking Justice League. Like
they know about the new gods,
and
right?
Superman has been in the Death of the New Gods series, and he knows what's going on, but he doesn't mention any of that
He acts completely oblivious. Oh, can I say this? Can we please have a moratorium on drawings of the Justice League around the fucking table? I am getting so tired of that. I mean, it's like, it was cute for a while. I mean, at the whole little Super Friends thing here. Oh, here they are at the Hall of Justice, and yet in Justice League right before that, they weren't at this. Well,
no, they were in a secret meeting room because
in a secret meeting. Wow, in outer
because they
space?
needed to talk amongst themselves.
I'm just getting tired of it. I just think it's getting played.